Welcome to It's Upgrade Season, the only place to get raw and unfiltered advice on how to get your shit together 1 week at a time. I'm your host, Alexandria, and join me every Monday for the upgrade and every Friday for the wind down, where I'm going to be answering your dilemmas. Small shifts, huge upgrades. Let's fucking do this. Welcome back to It's Upgrade Season. This is the high vibe girls chat that you have been craving. And I have such an amazing episode for you today, all on the soft girl boss era, low cortisol living, and living a rich as fuck life. But before we get into that, you guys are so fucking key to making this show happen. So please, if you haven't already, go and leave us a review. I'm going to be sending you the most amazing course, Design Your Soul Yes Life, as a thank you. And also it'll help us get some really epic guests on, because we want some fucking epic guests on this podcast. So leave a review. I'll send you the course. Pop me a little DM when you've done it so I know that you have. But I'm super excited. Let's dive into today's episode. So this episode was actually inspired by Sam Daly, who has the Makeshift Happen podcast. I know Sam personally, actually coached her as part of Mel Wells Queendom. Sam is a fucking boss. She is amazing. And I listened to this episode and I was so inspired. And I was like, I want to talk about this too, because I feel you, girl. I feel you. So I'm going to call this the kind of like soft girl boss era. And I felt like it was important, first of all, to talk about the soft girl era. Now, this actually came from a girl called Mia Jones. And this is what she said. Apparently, this was like a viral TikTok video. You guys, I'm a fucking grandma. I'm not on TikTok. I don't know what's fucking viral on TikTok, but like apparently this is where it all originated. So I want to give her credit. I want to give her due, but this is what she said about her soft girl era. She said, I don't want to be a girl boss. I don't want to hustle. I simply want to live my life slowly and lay in a bed of moss with my lover and enjoy the rest of my existence, reading books and creating heart and loving the people in my life. Sounds fucking great, to be fair. Okay, so I wanted to do a little bit more research on this, because this really took off, and I've seen a lot about soft girl era over on Instagram where us grandmas hang out, and I'm really curious, like, why was this coming up? What was resonating for people? Because I know it was resonating for me, and I had my own reasons for it. So I actually found a Glamour article. It was written by Stephanie McNeil. I always like to give a shout out when I'm using someone else's work, because it's not fucking cool to copy people's work, guys, in case we didn't know already. So shout out Stephanie. But she said, the soft girl doesn't value the grind of getting ahead. She prioritizes slow living. Her days are filled with a nearly obsessive focus on self-care, from making the perfect morning smoothie to tending to her skin and trading in hardcore HIIT workouts for leisurely, cozy cardio. Long term, the soft girl dreams of making dinner with her husband, and if she's got them, staying at home with her kids. She's not interested in making partner or founding her own company. She's in touch with her feminine energy, her menstrual cycle, and her moods. And my hot take on this is, I feel like we almost entered this unhealthy addiction with growing and with more. And we realized that it wasn't sustainable. Now, I am a massive advocate for do what works best for you, boo. So if you're full soft girl airing it, I salute you. You go full soft girl. But let me tell you this. I am a Capricorn. I've mentioned it quite a few times already. I would be so fucking bored with a soft girl life within a week. So I feel like I needed to find my own unique blend of this. And this felt like the soft girl boss era. So what is the soft girl boss era? So my version of the soft girl boss era starts with slower mornings. Now, my little guy wakes up at 5 a.m. So I'm unofficially in the 5 a.m. club, not intentionally. I would love it if he would sleep till 6 or 7 a.m. But slower mornings. And the temptation here was, we have really nice family mornings. I feed him in bed, and then we tend to go for a walk. We have breakfast all together as a family, and then our angel of a nanny arrives, and I kind of go into work mode. And when we first started to get to this rhythm, my temptation was just to like rush into work and just get as much done as possible. But I have consciously slowed down my mornings. And when you slow down your morning, time starts to expand. I thought it would feel like the day was racing away from me and I wouldn't get anywhere near as much done. But instead, it's the opposite. It feels like the day expands when I have that slower time in the morning. So instead of diving straight into work, I really take some time to fill my cup. That might be going to a Pilates class. I definitely resonate with the soft girl era energy of cardio is just not my jam. Like, let me tell you, bodies postpartum, everyone has a completely different journey, but combined with like no proper exercise for 10 months, a C-section and paralysis in my left leg for a while, your girl had some work to do building her strength back up. And I was actually I was getting to F45, and do you know what? I actually fucking loved it. I felt like a fucking boss. Except I was having to hit the chiropractor constantly because my back just kept going, and it was really, really annoying. I was so ready to just get my strength back and be doing these like fiery workouts, but my back was like, this is a fuck no. And my chiropractor was like, the F45's got to go. And I fully committed to Reformer Pilates, and that shit has changed my life. Like, I love Reformer Pilates. I feel so strong from it. It's really rebuilt my core. It's really rebuilding my bum, which is so important, particularly if you have a bad back. And it's just so like peaceful and fiery at the same time. It just feels so good on my body, on my mind. So I've been getting really into the Reformer. I actually have ordered a Reformer Pilates table to my house at this point because it takes me like half an hour to drive there. It's a 15-minute class, half an hour back. It is quite a hefty chunk out of my day, and I really want to be doing it close to every day, probably like five times a week during like Monday to Friday. So I just thought, get a table at home. Let's hope I commit to it, because this was not a cheap fucking table, you guys. But let's hope I commit to it, because I am loving it. I just wasn't loving the commute necessarily. So I bought the frame Reformer Pilates table. It looks amazing. The design, you guys, this thing is fucking beautiful. And I'm so here for things that are designed well as being functional. So it's fucking beautiful. So I've ordered that from home. But yeah, I'm just loving a workout. If I'm not doing Reformer, I'm doing Studio by Ash Pilates. Ash is actually a previous client of mine, and she is a fucking vibe. She is the kind of client where you're like, I want to be best friends with you. And she's a mama too. She's a hot mom. Like, she is rocking her mom era, and she does the most amazing online Pilates workouts. They're not just for mums, but what I love about those is they're like 15 to 20 minutes. So I feel like I can like move and get into my body without it taking over my entire day. So that's a really good option. And I love that when we're traveling as well, because I can put it up wherever we are. We travel a lot, and I can do a little fiery workout. So slow mornings, maybe it's a workout. Honestly, guys, yesterday I had one of like the biggest days ever. I actually did my interview on the Boss Babe podcast, which is a fucking dream come true. Like, I was not cool about it. I was like screaming on the inside, and it's so embarrassing because Natalie's actually one of my best friends now, and I was like, I have listened to this podcast for so long and I can't believe I'm on it. Like, it wasn't cool. It just wasn't cool in any respect. But it was like a huge day, and I actually spent the morning of that in bed reading a novel. I was reading a fiction book and just like taking some time to chill, because I knew it was a big day. I knew I had a lot of energy moving through me, and I was like, I just want to show up grounded and calm. I don't feel like frantically diving into my to-do list is going to support me best this morning. So just really slowing down the mornings and knowing that a slow morning can still be a really fucking productive day. Like, that was one of the most incredible points so far for me in doing this. And I spent my morning in bed with a book, super chill. Amazing things can happen even with a slow morning. Again, today I actually did some prep because I was in the studio recording. I went for a blow dry, got my favorite matcha. So it's been quite a chill morning, and I'm bossing hours of recordings right now, you know, like it gets to be both, and you get to have that balance in your day. So I'm definitely feeling the slow mornings, not always needing more. I feel like this is been a real realization for me the last 18 months. And I think it's easy when you're in an energy of momentum and growth, which I was for 3 years. For 3 years, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but we had rapid growth, rapid expansion. I went from having a 5K month, not knowing what a fucking funnel was, to within a year having a 100K month, to within another year we had a 100K week. Like the growth was so rapid, and we were doing this all with a relatively small audience as well. It was so rapid. And there were definitely points in that where I just had to keep checking in with myself. And I was like, okay, all this growth, all this expansion is open and available to me, but like, is it actually what I want right now? Is it what I need right now? Does that support other areas of my life? And honestly, the answer became no. Often the answer became like, actually, I know that I could do this right now. I know this could be amazing, but I don't need more. And last year was definitely that for me. Like, I was no longer feeling sick. Obviously, I had my own set of challenges that came with that. I spoke about in the very first episode. But I knew that I could have launched, and I knew that I could have gone at things, and I knew that we could have massively grown the business after a period of pulling back. But it wasn't the time for more. It wasn't the time for taking on more work and taking on more clients. It felt like the time for just being deeply present with my son, learning how to be a mother and a businesswoman, and just being really present and really connected to my existing clients. So I feel like this is my soft girl boss era, like not always needing it to be more or bigger. Like I really enjoy working with intimate groups. I think it's really interesting. This is a wider conversation we're having at the moment. So Vanessa Lau, really incredible. She is a YouTuber, but she also had this like grow on socials course. She was like really top of her game. And about a year ago, she went on an indefinite sabbatical. And I know Catherine Zinkina did this as well last year. She went on a sabbatical for a couple of months. These incredible women at the top of their game are saying like, peace out, I'm taking a fucking break. And I think it's really interesting. I think it really is breaking that cycle of constantly needing to be on, constantly needing more, constantly needing to keep going. And this is actually really honoring what's more natural for us, not only as women, but as humans. So there's a spiritual law. It's the law of rhythms. And I think it's honestly one of the easiest laws that we can see in the real world. So as a woman, you have a cycle, okay? Or like you might not, but like some women have cycles, okay? You work in this cyclical nature. The same with the moon, the same with the seasons, okay? So there's all these rhythms that we naturally see. We are the same as humans, okay? We go through rhythms, we go through seasons, we go through ebbs and flows, and we have to honor those ebbs and flows. So in my own life, I went through 3 years of what felt like constant summer, you know? Things were growing, things were expanding, I was going, I was doing, I was enjoying life. I was traveling, I was here, I was there, I was everywhere, and it was fucking amazing. But it's not normal to live in summer all the time, okay? Like we need seasons of winter. We need seasons of rest. We need seasons of introspection, of turning inwards, of really like just giving ourselves that deeply nourishing time so that yes, we can go through spring, so we can go through summer, we can go through autumn again. But I think part of this soft girl boss era is recognizing that. It's realizing that. It's realizing it's not normal and it's not good for us either to be on all the fucking time, you know? And I'm talking about like seasons of business here, which lasted years for me. So I had what felt like 3 years in summer, and then I went into a kind of like autumn winter time. But this could also be more in your week as well, like stretching your week more around this. And this is definitely something I'm coming back in, being more consciously aware of as I do enter another spring, summer. So I am making sure that I'm writing self-care into my week. I'm having those slower mornings. My weekends, I am not fucking working, okay? Like, yes, okay, if there's maybe a pressing emergency, but honestly, I'm really not building my business in a way where there's a pressing emergency. Like, I don't want to work weekends. I fucking love having the weekends off with Jake and with Leo or with my friends, whatever I'm doing. It's not happening unless it's a retreat or event or something like that. It is just not happening. Like, I'm not working the weekends. I've said this before. I don't want to pull my laptop up after Leo has gone to bed. Like, I'm tired then. I want to rest. I want to replenish myself so the next day I am energized and I am ready to go. A big thing I've been reflecting on as well with this kind of slowing down and honoring seasons and really going at your own pace rather than subscribing to this go, 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 grow, grow, grow all the time, is this idea of giving yourself the space and time to create a masterpiece as well. Instead of just churning out more, really thinking like about mastery, really thinking about making something much more incredible. And I really feel like I'm in this season with this podcast, for example. I've had a podcast before, we were bringing out episodes, but I feel like in this soft girl boss era, I want this fucking podcast to be huge, and I want to do it in a way where it's considered, where I'm actually like really pouring everything into this, where I'm giving it my all. And I really hope that you can feel this from it as well. So with that, it's about long-term building over short-term gains, creativity over reactivity, and also JOMO, the joy of missing out. Okay, we are bringing back the joy of missing out. Like, maybe you're skipping out on the latest trend in your industry, and that is okay because you know what you're focusing on, and you're focusing on that growth for the long term, or doing it in your own way, and that just gets to be the way that you're doing it. And then the other thing I'd say in terms of this soft girl boss era is really protecting my peace first and foremost. I've spoken a little bit about this already, but really putting my peace at the forefront and realizing like I get to protect that. I am worthy of that as well. And that really recognizing when things are an emergency and when they're not, okay? Like, there are very few things that are actually an emergency. There's actually very few things that can't be fixed or rectified. And so you don't need to be in this constant cycle of just drama, you know? Like, you get to just be slow and considered. And actually, I think better outcomes come from that rather than just going at things. So the next thing that I want to talk about, which totally leads from this kind of soft girl boss era, is something I've been coining as an upgrade I'm making to my life this year. And I am calling it low cortisol living. And that is where you purposely cultivate a life which is low stress and drama free. Okay? As much as is possible, because life is going to be lifing. Okay? Things are going to come up. I'm human. You're human. We all know that that's going to happen. Things are going to come our way and we have to deal with them as we come. But as much as I can, consciously cultivating a peaceful, low cortisol living life. So what does that look like? First of all, the space that I live in, my environment. My environment is so important to me. You'll hear me talk about this a lot. But just really noticing where things are snagging on my energy and where I can make little upgrades so that they don't feel like that anymore. So one of the things that pisses me off is what I call the parents' hallway. And maybe it's not just a parents thing, but let me tell you this. My hallway did not look like this before we had a kid. My hallway is filled with shoes, Amazon boxes, dog leads, random coats, prams, toys, and snacks. It is a fucking dumping ground and it does not feel good. And I'm no feng shui expert. In fact, I don't even know if that's how you say feng shui. Feng shui? Anyway, you know what I mean. But I feel like that's not good for the energy of your home either. I feel like the doorway is where the energy comes in, fresh energy, fresh air. I don't want to be walking into a fucking shit show, okay? So little things like putting systems in place, putting storage in place, putting things in place so my hallway doesn't look like a bomb has gone off in it anymore is low cortisol living. Making things aesthetically pleasing on the eye and seamless in different rooms. So I don't like having all my books on my bedside table. It just feels really cluttered and I don't like sleeping in a cluttered room. But I do like having my books there. Because, oh my God, I'm revealing so much in this, but I feel like when you pile books on top of one another, sometimes it's like you're trapping that energy. I don't know if that's weird, but it's how I feel. So I like them stacked, but I like them neat. So I bought this it wasn't expensive. It's from the Container Store. It's this like book stacker, and now they look so aesthetically pleasing. It's just easy on my eye. It feels calming on my system. It feels really good. So that's the first thing, just like going around your environment. Another tip here, get rid of any shit you don't like the ornament that someone got you, or like the knick-knack that someone gifted you. Like, if you don't like it, don't keep it, you know, get it out of your space. All these things I feel like are mini drains on our energy, like mini stressors. I don't want to be stressed anymore. I want to make life easy for myself. And I really put systems in place to deal with that as well. So things like batch cooking. I love to batch cook. I have Leo's meals all batch cooked. They're in these mini cute little jars in the freezer. So I know he always has a fresh meal, because let me tell you, when I don't have things batch cooked, I get so stressed trying to work out how to put a meal together, what I'm going to feed him. Like, batch cooking is the bomb. Like, it just feels so good. I also do little tricks that make my days easier in terms of this as well. So for example, he has porridge in the morning. We make him porridge with raw milk, and we put like an ice cube in it of what is basically frozen berries, cooked down, mushed up with some chia seeds in. I guess it's like a kind of berry jam. But I got these little ice cube trays, like silicone ice cube trays, and filled them up with this berry compote. So now in the morning, you put the porridge in the pot. Sometimes I even pre-soak it, make it even easier. You heat up the porridge, you pop in one of these little ice cubes. It's so easy, it's so nutritious. And again, it's just low stress in the morning. I do not need a stressful breakfast at 6 a.m. in the morning. So another thing that I'm doing for low cortisol living is cutting down on watching or listening to things that stress me out. So I am already not an avid news watcher or reader, but I realized that I had a little obsession with those kind of Harlan Coben. Is that how you say his name? You're going to learn this. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Harlan Coben, like these like murder mystery novels, like thrillers, either on Netflix. I even like reading the book, like Gone Girl kind of energy. And that shit was leaving me jacked up. Like, I was feeling jumpy. I was feeling on edge. I was getting addicted. I was like, I need to watch the next episode. I need to read the next page. And I've just decided I don't need that in my life right now. Like, that is an energy leak. That is a stressor that I don't need. So I am making a conscious decision to read things that really fill me up. And as part of this, I've actually introduced more fiction, but just like calming fiction. There is nothing more calming to me than reading a fiction book at the end of the day and just getting to like zone out and chill out in this really calm, lovely place. So some recent ones I've read, I actually enjoyed this one on Audible, but Sophie Kinsella, The Burnout. I actually got recommended this by Jenna Kutcher because I briefly mentioned my whole corporate breakdown, and she was like, kind of reminds me of this book, The Burnout. And I listened to it, and yes, there was definitely similarities. So I just listened to that by Sophie Kinsella. I listened to a really, really good one. When this episode comes out, I'll put it on my stories because I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Apparently, again, it was some TikToks, and I need to fucking get on TikTok. Me and TikTok, what is it? But apparently it was some like TikTok sensation. But that one was really good, bit of a tearjerker, but like just wholesome goodness. Had some great sex scenes in. Jobs are good in. It was great. So not watching stuff or reading stuff where I'm feeling really jacked up, and also giving myself bounce back time instead of like constantly jumping out my comfort zone. Now, I'm a big advocate of the kind of energy of doing something each day that scares you and leaving your comfort zone each day. We know that leaving your comfort zone leads to growth. But here's what I've noticed. I think you can do it too much. I think you can be so constantly leaving your comfort zone that you are just constantly in a state of like, what the fuck? Rather than giving your energy and your body and your being and your mind time to catch up and time to calibrate to this new place, to this new zone that you're in, okay? So I've really started to notice more like, where am I pushing myself out of my comfort zone? Yes, I want to carry on doing that, but how can I balance that more? How can I not just be living at the edge of the seat of my fucking pants every day and feeling as a consequence like I'm just winging it? How can I actually give myself time to calibrate and to really sink into those experiences? So I gave this example earlier in the episode. I recorded this podcast. It was a real dream come true, but I gave myself a slow day around it. I didn't make it this really like amped up, jacked up day. I made it purposely quite a peaceful day so I could really just sit with that. I could enjoy the experience and I could really calibrate that to being the new normal, you know, getting invited to these incredible opportunities and welcome more of that in without it leaving me feeling frazzled or stressed out. And the last one that I want to talk about in terms of low cortisol living is friendships. Now, I definitely feel like I'm in a really good season of my life when it comes to friendships. I if you don't know this already, I literally live around the corner from most of my best friends. It's the fucking dream. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. Go start a village with your friends. It's okay. We didn't literally start the village, but move to a village with your friends. It's fucking great. But I want to share this because I know this is definitely something that comes up a lot for women in my community. It's definitely something that I've worked through before as well, which is having friendships that feel good. Like, this should be obvious. This should be of course. And this isn't to say that there's never going to be moments of friction in your relationship. There's never going to be hard conversations, and there's never going to be stuff that comes up, so to speak. But it's just to say, like, overall, your friendships leave you feeling more filled up than drained. And your friendships are really fulfilling and nurturing and feel really, really, really good. Okay. So I just wanted to put that in there because I do think friendships can be something that is actually leading to increased stress. If you're constantly worrying that your friends are bitching about you, if your friends are constantly openly judging you or giving you shit for living your life the way that you want to live, maybe it's time to bring in some new friends. Okay. I feel like there's this rumor that it's hard to make friends as an adult. I call bullshit. I made some of my closest friends in my late 20s, okay? I have amazing friends from earlier in my life as well, but like, I welcomed in a lot of the women I'm close to right now later in life, and you get to do that. So where do you find them? Well, start going to events. There's so many cool like in-person meetups or art classes or pottery classes, whatever the fuck you're into, okay? There's like meetups in every city, town, whatever. If you can't go in person, there's online ones. Masterminds. Like, I have met some of my business besties from masterminds. I fucking love those girls. Like, it is a whole vibe. They get the personal, but they also get the business side of things. It's a whole thing, and I love them. So masterminds are a great place. Retreats. Again, retreats. I actually met my best friend Mel on her retreat. I attended her retreat in the Maldives. Fucking vibe, by the way. And that was how we met. So like, you can meet amazing people, but you need to be putting yourself in the kind of places, in the situations where you're going to meet that people. And like, again, I've mentioned some in-person things there. There's lots of the equivalents of these online. There are online masterminds you can join. There's online networking events. There are online sharing circles and meetups and like all these things. Like, there is Facebook groups. Like, I know there's like girls that travel Facebook groups, for example. So there's really no excuse. If you've got shitty friends, there are amazing women out there and men waiting to be friends with you. You just need to go out and meet them. Okay. So low cortisol living, stop accepting shitty friendships. Like, bring in some really nurturing, beautiful, deep friendships that just leave you feeling like you can take on the fucking world. Okay, so the last kind of thing that I wanted to dive into this upgrade episode was all about living a rich as fuck life. And I think the automatic assumption here is money, okay? Rich, money, like, they kind of go together. And let me be clear on one thing. I want you to be wildly fucking abundant when it comes to money. And if you are listening to this, if you're not already in that position, it is totally possible for you. And if you're already wildly abundant, you can become even more wildly abundant. Like, there is always more available to you. The way that you receive that, though, I think is the really interesting thing to work with. Are you receiving it from a place of money has to be hard, I have to work harder, like I have to do more? Or are you opening yourself up to other avenues of ease and joy in receiving money? But I actually don't want to dive into money right now because I really want to encourage you to explore, what does a rich as fuck life mean to you? This was a question that I journaled on, and when I journaled on it, I was so interested in what came up for me. So these were the things that came up when I journaled on it. Living a rich life to me is having time to read in the day. It's being able to study and deepen my practices and be able to go deeper with myself and with other people. It's being present to what is coming up for me and also present when I am in experiences. It is making the journey the entire goal rather than feeling like I will be happy when, or I will be X when I hit this goal. And what I found so interesting when I was going through this was like, money was a piece of it, but it really wasn't all of it. Actually, so much of this was things that was already available to me. It didn't involve me hitting either these huge, huge goals. Actually, the whole goal was how I was being, how I was moving through life. And a lot of that was about slowing down, giving myself time to read, doing some courses. I love learning. Like, I fucking love learning. So like giving myself time to do that, being present in whatever experience I was in, whether that's a conversation with my husband or a walk with my friend or feeding my son, rather than thinking I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And making the journey the entire goal, because we can fall into such a dangerous trap. And I think this is really another thing that we're kind of rebelling against from the girl boss era, of making the goal the whole focus, the whole thing. When the goal is the whole focus, you kind of forget how you feel in creating that. You kind of push it to the wayside and like, I'll rest when I hit it, or I'll exercise when I hit it, or I'll cook for myself again when I hit it, or I'll be present with my friends and family once I've hit that goal. And this is so dangerous because the bar keeps moving. You hit that goal, then you want to hit the next goal, or you hit that goal, and in order to maintain where you are, the rest of your life has to stay in this disarray and everything else has to go for shit in order for you to stay there. That is not a way of living. That is not a way of being. That isn't the way that we have to go about achieving these things. So really switching that and making the journey itself the entire goal. And yes, having things that you're working towards, but really having a lens through which you're going to achieve them. Really like noticing how you want to be in that experience in order to reach that goal. So the upgrade for you today, I really want to reflect on like, what season of life are you in right now? Are you in a winter? Are you in a summer? Are you in a spring? And how could you honor it? Instead of fighting it, how could you just honor where you're at and really lean in? Because let me tell you, as a girl who has just moved through a winter, when you're in a season, you think it's never going to end, but the seasons always end, okay? And it was probably the same for me when I was in summer. I thought this momentum's never going to end, okay? All seasons come to an end. It's the law of rhythms. It is normal to have this ebb and flow. The best thing that you can do is lean into whatever season you're in. And I know it can be scary, particularly if it's big expansion and it feels too much, or particularly if it feels like this massive contraction, this winter, and you're thinking like, am I going to miss out? Am I going to miss the boat? Okay. The more you can lean into that season, the more magic and wisdom you can get from it. The more that you lean in, that is really where your next level of expansion lies in the long term. That is really where you create a vision even wilder than your vision board. So whatever season you're in, how can you lean in more? How can you embrace it more? How can you really take it for what it is, knowing that other seasons are coming to you? I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please go leave us a review, whatever platform you listen to this on. Once you've done it, take a little screenshot, send it me. I have the most amazing course I'm going to send you. And whilst you're at it, share a little screenshot on Instagram, share with a friend, WhatsApp a friend this episode if you think it would be helpful for them. Maybe they're going through a winter or a summer and you think like, I feel like this would be really supportive for them to hear. Send this over to a friend. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you're thinking, what you're feeling. This podcast is just as much about you guys. I am sending you so much love. I'm sending you so much joy. I'm sending you so much abundance. And I will see you in the next episode.